Today we're tying a 1/16 calf-tail crappie jig. Stay tuned. So, good morning. Been tying up a few jigs this morning, trying to do something just to take my mind off of just getting ready. I'm going to make my runs. Walleye season is about 2 weeks away. I'm going to make my run this weekend to all the bait shops in and around central New York, and I've just been tying bucktails pretty heavily for the last few weeks, couple months even. Got to do something different. So what I wanted to put in the vise today is, right now I have a 1/16 ball head. It's a mustad hook in these, and we're tying a crappie jig, just a basic calf tail. Tied a few of these already. I even did some with marabou, but I turned the cameras on, thought we'd take a look at this. So lock my thread in the center of the hook shank and walk it towards the point of the hook. Now I am going to take a calf tail. I'm going to take a small pinch, thin pinch of the olive. Now I like jigs that, I do like bright colored jigs. Please don't, I hope I don't make it sound like I don't like bright colored jigs, but I also favored jigs that have a more of natural shades, you know, tans and browns and darker colors, I would suppose. But here we have a pinch of olive calf tail along with fluorescent yellow. I just put them together, and now we can remove some of the fuzz and the short fibers from the butt ends. And this is going to thin this pinch out even more. And again, same thing. Just taking out some of those the really long fibers, or some of the fibers that are very crooked and sticking out. Just remove them from the pinch. So right now we can see that there's a pretty fine line right down the center between the dark and the lighter color. But what I'm going to start doing is rolling my pinch, just rolling it in my fingers, letting the fibers mix together. You can roll in one direction and do it over and over. Occasionally I'll switch directions and I'll switch where I'm holding the pinch. I always keep the pinch, I'm not trying to slide them up and down, I'm just trying to move them back and forth, and I can rotate this in my pinch until I am happy with the way it's mixed. Sometimes I stop when it is still noticeable with a dark half and a light half, but the center line has been blended. And then sometimes I will continue doing this where there's no line, so it's mixed fairly uniform. And again, just remove some of the smaller fibers from the butt, and I can switch my pinch again. Take out some of those long ones and place them back in your pinch. So I want the tips of the fibers, I don't want it to look like I put it through a hair stacker, but I would like them all about the same length. Okay. And when I'm happy with that, we can measure. What I'm looking for is, I would like the tail, the length of the body, the hook shank, the length of the body past the bend of the hook. Keep in mind that we are tying it in back here. Okay. Keep our left hand pinched tight. You can just lay this right above the hook point. That was 4 wraps towards the bend of the hook, 2 wraps back just to cross it and lock that into place. So now I can take a look, and right now all the fibers are mainly right on the top of the hook shank, so I'm going to add a little bit of pressure. I'm trying not to twist too much, just trying to push straight down, just to let those fibers relax and go over the sides. So at least 3 sides these fibers are covering, and as you can see, it's mixed fairly uniform on this pinch. Instead of a darker olive, it kind of looks more like just a yellow olive, like sometimes you get a tail that's fairly yellow. That's what that looks like to me. I can take my head cement and I can add a drop right on the knot. You could coat the shank of the hook if you wish. I know some tires do that, but it's not necessary. The chenille I'm using, I bought it from a fly shop that puts their own labels, so they've kind of covered the label, but if I look at it in the bright light, it's a Hook and Hackle Crystal Chenille number 4848024, and it is an interesting color. It's a nice ice chenille, fluorescent yellow, but then it also has some longer fibers that look to be a pearl, and what that reflects is a lot of blue and gold and silver. Instead of pulling the fibers out of the end, I just trim them with scissors just to expose the thread core. I can lay that right in place and lock it down, and then walk my thread with touching wraps back up to the head. At this point, we take our chenille. I angle it towards the bend of the hook as we come around this full rotation towards the bend of the hook, and then as it comes around we can straighten out our wraps. You don't want these to be overlapping. You'll end up crushing the longer fibers of your chenille, but touching wraps as we go up the shank of the hook. And the longer fibers give this chenille, give the jig a nice full profile, so there really isn't much need to overlap, because you do get a nice bushy profile on this. Our last wrap around, as I come around the shank of the hook, I bring the chenille to the outside of my bobbin, so when I switch hands I can pick up my bobbin, lock this directly into place. We can snip off the excess. At this point you could palmer a collar, hackled collar on there. It would look perfect. Or add, a lot of guys lately are adding little beard, either calf tail, buck tail, this marabou even. If I get a feather it's a little bit bigger. This marabou actually would make a nice little addition. An olive beard on this would look kind of neat. And again, that's adding a little bit of material to the profile, you know. And what does that look like? If that was turned right side up, that would look like the pectoral fins on a small fish, right? But we're going to leave that as is. We'll finish this off with our whip finish tool. At this point, I'm angling this top thread of my whip finish tool, letting it slide right across the head of the jig, each time that I come around. 3 wraps. Oop. And pull it through tight. And because I let that thread ride right across the surface of the jig head, all the fibers are to the hook bend side of that collar. Nothing is trapped in the collar. If there were, we usually take our scissors and nip them away, but that's just saving us a step. Finish this off with our lacquer-based head cement. And there we have it. Let's see, we'll turn this off. And let's hold it with our tool. Here we go. Real pretty jig. I like the colors in this. You can see this very clearly, and I'm sure the fish see it just as easily. But I also like this jig in stained water. It looks awesome, and I just enjoy fishing with it. Oh, and I think that was a 1/8. I think earlier I was tying. Here's an example of a 1/16. I'm sorry. I might have said the wrong thing because I was tying 1/8. All right, let's get it together. I was tying 1/8. 1/16 rather. Oh my goodness. And it's not that early, folks. It's not early. Here's the one we just tied. Here's the jig we just tied. That's a 1/8. Here's our 1/16. But the exact same. Real nice jig. I'm looking forward to fishing both of those. So, I think that will do it for us today. Just had to break the monotony. Later today I'm going to sit back down and I got another 6 or 7 dozen bucktails to tie before we start packaging. I just got to, we'll sit down later this afternoon into Friday, package as much as we can ahead of time, which is never everything that the stores want. Usually guys will go through my boxes and start picking out the packs that I usually package sitting in the truck or in the back table in the bait shop, right on top of the cooler at the bait shop, right? But I'm looking forward to this weekend making our runs. Which reminds me, go ahead, take a look at the website, jworthhandtied.com. I've been listing every week, trying to add something new to the website, getting on as many different types of jigs that I tie on there as possible. Over the summer, I'll start adding the ice jigs, a few of them that we've done videos here over the last year or so, as well as a lot of the traditional dry flies. I did list traditional Catskill style streamers, the walleye streamers, as well as all of the airheads. Those have been selling actually really well. A lot of interest in the airheads. If you go on there and something, as you go through the size and the color and it shows not available, just keep coming back. When I see that numbers have dwindled down and they've sold out, I'm just adding as quickly as I can, along with adding some of the new stuff that's not up yet. But I think that will do it for us today. As always, put some comments down below if you like what we did here today. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any new content. Feel free to share any of the videos, as it does help increase awareness for the channel. And until next time, guys, keep tying and tight lines.